Hi there, this is Colin McGarry with Walking D-Day. Now we've done Operation Epsom and the objective for that was to take Hill 112 and that didn't work, and Hill 112 was finally taken on the 4th of August. Now Operation Martlet was a preliminary to Operation Epsom and it was aimed to divert the attention of the Germans away from Epsom. It was also to take away the Rauray spur from the Germans, as it gave them a good vantage point to observe and fire on the 15th Scottish at Shermans in their start of Operation Epsom. As we'll see, it was far more important than that. The Martlet attack was carried out by the 49th Division from 30 Corps. 3 phases were planned. Phase 1 was to capture Barraccuda along the road from Juvigny-sur-Seulles and Fontenay-le-Penel. Phase 2 was Walrus, Tessel Wood and a farm at St Nicola. Phase 3 was Albacore, that's Rauray to the nearby high ground. Phase 1 was to be carried out by the 4th Lincolns near St Pierre in the west, the Hallamshires in the centre, and the 11th Scots Fusiliers near the Parc de Boisselonde in the east. 9 field and 4 medium artillery regiments would provide a creeping barrage, supported by 2 companies of 4.2-inch mortars. When the attack began, the area was defended by parts of the 12th SS Panzer Division, Hitlerjugend. After the attack began, elements from the 21st Panzer Division were sent from Caen and part of the Panzer Lehr Division, which was defending Vendes, just to the southwest of the main Martlet attack. Now you might be wondering why I keep changing jacket. Normally we can have 4 seasons in one day, and today we're just having 2 seasons. It's going from autumn to summer. I got my summer coat on now. Now just after 5, a group of the Royal Scots Fusiliers were pinned down next to this Calvary. They're being fired on by Spandau's and mortars of the 12th SS, the Hitler Youth. They replied with rifles and Bren guns. These fanatical teenagers of the SS made many counterattacks on the cavalry. As the mist cleared, several were repulsed after savage hand-to-hand fighting with grenades, submachine guns and bayonets. These attacks continued right into the afternoon. The 3 Shermans of the Sherwood Forest Yeomanry turned up. 1 broke down and 1 was knocked out. So the other tank took the crew of the broken down tank back behind British lines. Panthers from the Panzer Lehr attacked the west of Fontenay, where these attacks were repulsed. They were still under attack from Germans in the park of Boislonde, which is still in German hands, and that was north of here. There was also an MG42 at the Évêque farm, northeast of here. And to the west of Fontenay, the attack advanced. The 4th King's Own Yorkshire Light Infantry replaced the Lincolns and pushed home the attack to short of Tessel Wood. They were hit by Nebelwerfer fire, but managed to advance to a quarter of a mile from the Tessel Woods, where they dug in and repulsed an attack from the 12th SS. Now, the 24th Lancers started out from near Hervieu, near Audria, and they soon crossed the Barraccuda line, which was the road from Fontenay-le-Penel to Juvigny. They then helped infantry clear the north of Tessel Wood. Now, tank commander of the 24th Lancers, he recounts, "My troop was astride the Fontenay-le-Penel to Juvigny road, and an officer of the Hallamshires came up and said there was a panther stopping their advance. So I dismounted, I went to see with him, and I saw there was a wall stopping my approach to him. So he took his tank back to the town and he broke down the wall which was stopping the view. Just then 2 more Panthers turned up. He knocked 1 out, but then the original Panther had time to move away, and so did the second of the 2 Panthers. As night fell on the 25th, they pulled back north of Fontenay-Juvigny Road. Even though Kurt Meyer of the 12th SS pointed out the British troops amassing for Epsom, Septitriche still believed that Martlet was the main offensive. On the 25th, a Sherman and a Panther and a field gun were knocked out along the road near Fontenay. On the 26th, photographers could come up and take a photo of the scene. They didn't go past the Sherman, as there were Germans further up the road, past the field gun. On the 26th, the Tyneside Scottish were attacking from southwest of Fontenay, first towards the Grande Ferme, then towards Rauray. Just north of the Grande Ferme, tanks of the 4-7 Royal Dragoon Guards were taking on Panthers from the 12th SS coming from the east. The Royal Dragoon Guards were assisted by a platoon of anti-tank guns. Sgt Paddy Caudfield was commanding a Firefly, and he was ordered to go and investigate some anti-tank guns that were firing on their tanks. He advanced, and with the help of some more tanks, he knocked out 2 Panthers out of 4, forced the other 2 to retreat. He was then asked to assist some 75mm Shermans who couldn't deal with some German tanks. By moving from position to position, he managed to knock out 2 and force the others to retreat again. On the night of the 26th of June, some Shermans were leaguering in Tessel Wood. They were being stalked by some Panthers. The Germans had their engines turned off, and the Panthers advanced. You can see them in the dark, and a Panther was knocked out at 25 yards. Now the Shermans had the advantage of an electric turret, and so they could traverse with their engine turned off. And the German tanks had a hydraulic traverse system that has the engines running to traverse the turret. But in the dark, they were firing at the Panthers, but with the dark, they weren't very accurate, and they just forced the Panthers to retreat. In 1944, Tessel Wood came right up to here, and even in the 1960s, when this aerial photo was taken, it came up to here. And from here, you get a good view westwards. Near the crossroads, near Vendes, just south of Tessel Wood, a Firefly fired at a Panther. The first shell bounced off, and the next shell disabled it, and the Panther crew bailed out. But then 2 other Panthers turned up, and the Firefly was hit, killing the driver and the co-driver. The commander managed to take the gunner, who was wounded, right back to the British lines. That knocked out Firefly, later served as a forward observation post. So a man would crawl up to it unseen, get in it, and take a look around. The Germans wouldn't worry about it, knowing it was a knocked out tank. On the 27th, Rauray was finally taken. At the crossroads just north of Rauray, there was quite a few photos and some film taken showing a knocked out Panther. Allied troops often reported a Tiger for any German tank. Some reports of Tigers in the Battle of Rauray might be affected by that, but on the 27th, some Sherwood Rangers actually captured a Tiger. Around midday on the 27th, a truce was called to take off the wounded. This allowed Sergeant Christie to move forward next to a carrier to take some photos. On the 29th of June, the Tyneside Scottish were pinned down north of Breadvillet. The Durham Light Infantry came under heavy fire south of Rauray. 1st of July, the Germans mounted several counterattacks towards Rauray. They were all beaten off. There was an open field on the Rauray spur which dominated the village. Sergeant Wilcox, the troop sergeant of 2 Troop C Squadron, camouflaged his tank and advanced very slowly along a hedge until he was able to see the enemy forward observation posts. Then he waited completely in the open, disguised as part of the hedge, until each enemy attack was committed and all the enemy troops were clear of the orchards. Sergeant Wilcox then called up the remainder of his troop and also 1 troop, who speedily came up level with him, fired furiously for about 30 seconds, and then retired and concealed their positions before the 88mm guns could register on them. Later in the day, the enemy discovered what they were doing, and several times Sergeant Wilcox had to retire under heavy fire. But as soon as the firing was over, he always returned to his forward position again as observer. After fending off the German counterattack, the 49th Division kept their positions around Rauray for 4 weeks. On the 17th of June, Hitler called Rommel and von Rundstedt to Margival for a meeting. Margival was the bunker system that Hitler had made for his invasion of England, so it was never really used. On the 17th of June they met, and he really wanted to tell off Rommel and von Rundstedt for suggesting they should retreat to form a defence line. But Hitler decided the main thing to do was to split open the British and American beachhead. And to do that, they were going to attack towards Bayeux, and that attack was just about to commence through Rauray when Operation Martlet started. So even though Operation Martlet didn't achieve what they'd hoped to do, it did stymie the German counterattack. It was in fact of major importance, even though it's an operation that's little known. So as usual, hope you've learned something. Don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe. That helps the algorithm. Or you can even support the channel through Patreon or PayPal me.